All right, good morning and good afternoon. We're going to start the webinar today. Again, my name is Gustavo Jimenez. I form part of the product marketing team for the e-invoicing compliant lines of business. Along my side is Andres Camacho, who is going to be our presenter today. He forms part of the strategic team here at Sovos for the e-invoicing compliant lines of business as well. Again, today we're going to discuss the new Mexico recipient acknowledgement process, which Andres is going to kind of go over with us what it is, what's the impact to your organization, and what solutions are out there as well. So Andres, welcome.
Thank you, Gustavo. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're located in the earth today. We are talking today about the new recipient acknowledgement process for the cancellation in Mexico. As you probably know, it started in November now. The government send information. Before I start, just confirm one more time, please, if you can hear me and see the screen well. And also to remind you, on your right, you can send, at the end of the session, we will have like a 5-10 minutes for questions. You can put all questions in the box, and we try to resolve all your doubts in the time, if the time allows us. So if you can just confirm that everything is good. Okay, perfect, great. I have a couple of persons saying that everything looks okay. Okay, great, thank you. So a little bit of the agenda for today will be an overview about what is happening in Mexico today, the product description, and the QA question that we have at the end of the session, okay? As an overview, so for Mexico, the government introduced a new acknowledgement process. As you know, starting on November 1st, the cancellation process is not only send a document, a CFDI cancellation, it's also involved the receptor of the document to provide an accuse and accept or reject the cancellation request. Not the cancellation itself, is a request now, and you as an issuer need to wait for that acceptance or rejection in order to proceed with the process. The receptor has 72 hours in order to acknowledge the information and send you back the approval or rejection. So it's a time matter process. This is a process that also in Chile, or the government is copying some of the information that in Chile is actually in place. Chile, when they come with the regulation in 2014 as a mandate, they include the acknowledgement process for all the documents. It's not the cancellation. Mexico is the only country in Latin America that uses cancellation as a separate document, let's say in that way, a separate document, document type. So they now copy that model from Chile, saying you need to acknowledge the document. Actually, the receptor need to be part of the process and say if they accept or reject their cancellation. Because why? As you can see on the screen, the SAT realized that people are canceled documents without the approval of the receptor, and those documents are probably already paid. So they are broken the process that the government are trying to implement with the new Pagos Complemento, with all the new changes that happened with 3.3. So the process of cancellation in the old process is only an unilateral process from the issuer when they said the information and the document was canceled. That provoke or have some problems with cancellations not allowed by the receptor, and some of the invoices are already paid in the process. Right? That is part of the problem that Mexico had when they introduced this new model. About the legal framework. So this change or this update or this new process comes with the CFDI 3.3 regulation in the 2017. So the government say, okay, you know what? You need now to submit the cancellation instead of the credit note that you are using to cancel documents. You need to let them know to the receptor that you are sending those documents, and they use the Código Fiscal de la Federación and other regulation rules from the fiscal miscellaneous resolution that are in the screen to back up the process, right? So they published originally in 2017. Let me give you an overview here. In 2017, they says, okay, we will implement this new process using Buzón Tributario. For those that doesn't know, Buzón Tributario is like an email that the government offers you in the cloud once you are a taxpayer in Mexico, right? They offer the alternative to be a Buzón Tributario or this email, logging in the page and validate information that you receive or send to the government. So using this platform, the government says, I will submit in behalf of the taxpayer the information for the receptor saying, hey, you have a cancellation request, you need to provide an acknowledgement within 72 hours. So the whole process was based on this Buzón Tributario thing. Also for the persons who manage the process, they know that they need a certificate, a password, a different couple of things in order to access this Buzón Tributario. Then in July, the original mandate was for July 2018. The government pushed the mandate for November 2018. This is nothing new, always happened in Mexico and in other countries, not only in Mexico. And in August in 2018, the state realized that they need something to massify the process. They cannot only keep in consideration the Buzón Tributario platform, they need to offer alternatives in order to connect the way that the process works. So they offer new web services for the cancellation request, for the acknowledgement, instead of use the Buzón Tributario. You can still use it. The Buzón Tributario is the original platform, and you can still use it, and you can access it using the certificate and all the platform that all the way that you probably know. And in November 2018, the mandate came in place, and person need to now submit cancellation request through the receptor, wait for the approval or rejection, and now proceed with the cancellation. And also, via Buzón Tributario, the taxpayer need to consult if they are receiving cancellation requests from its vendor in order to approve or reject those documents within 72 hours. So what is the problem and the solution for this? The actual problem is the companies can cancel the electronic invoices unilaterally, right? So they in the old solution, in the old way, they don't need to wait for an acknowledgement. They just go, issue the document, and that's it. If it's something wrong with the document, they cancel the document. In the meanwhile, customers who have paid the goods or services cannot deduct the expenses. That is a problem for those that receive the invoice or the document. For the new process, vendors must send notification to their clients before canceling an invoice, and the client must accept or reject via SAT portal within 72 hours. Okay? If it's not the document is not acknowledged in 72 hours in a positive way, saying that it's accepted, it will be accepted by default. A little bit of the flow. We are talking about in the old process, you create a document, the CFDI, you submit the cancellation, the CFDI for cancellation, and the cancellation is complete. For the new process, you still need to cancel a document. Let's say that you create, there is an error in the invoice, the quantity doesn't match, the price doesn't match, whatever the issue is, you need to cancel those documents. So instead of create the CFDI cancellation, now you create a cancellation request. And you can validate that status within the 72 hours framework in order to observe what is happening with that document. So we need to understand if the CFDI can be canceled without approval, can be canceled with approval, or cannot be canceled because it has some relate documents. The relate documents, for those that knows, in the 3.3 schema, the CFDI relate documents is a new node that allows you to interconnect the UUIDs from the actual document for those that you are referring to. So in the case of the credit note, you can refer the UUIDs for the original invoice. In the case of the Pagos Complemento, you can refer the UUID for the invoice that you are actually paying. So if you have some related documents in the process, you cannot cancel the document. You need to cancel all the document related. So that is one of the rejections that you can cause in this process. And there is another couple of web services that appear in the process that is, of course, request the reception. So send the cancellation request and also accept and reject the cancellation request from the inbound side. So now as a taxpayer, you need to receive this communication and be able to produce an answer back in 72 hours. So after these new 5-step, 4 steps, the cancellation is considered complete, and the database in the database, the document will be canceled. The UUID will be canceled, and you can receive the new update of the document saying document was canceled with approval, without approval, or without any action from the receptor. So the governments are learning and evolving faster than ever. As I mentioned in the beginning, Mexico learned from Chile that the process is actually a very good practice. So now they put the recipient or the receptor of the invoice of the document to be part of the process. So governments are interconnected, governments are learning from their mistakes. And if you take in consideration that the whole e-invoicing solution in Mexico appears in 2004, 2005, they take 10 years to develop the 3.2, to produce the 3.2 schema, the changes, platform, all those things that we usually know in 3.2 schema. They take until 2014 to put the whole country in place, to mandate the whole taxpayers in Mexico to be part of the process, to have all the countries electronic. And only between 2014 and 2017, they took to the government 3 years to learn and evolve and switch the schema from 3.2 and 3.3 in order to adapt to the new processes, in order to understand the mistakes and the errors that they saw in the schema, the flawless that they have, the arithmetical validation, all those flawless that they have in the schema, now they correct those. So they evolve faster than ever, and also they are communicated with the Brazilian tax authority. The Brazilian are talking with the Mexican, with the Costa Rica, with all the new countries that are appearing in this new process, and they are learning and produce regulation, a strong regulation who mandates this process. Costa Rica came this year, Panama came this year with a very good regulation actually that include all these little details like acknowledgement and things like that are included in the first issue of the legislation. So governments are learning. So now I will show you what happened with the actual consoles in SAP for the software framework, okay? So we was talking that the inbound process is very affected with these new acknowledgement things, right? So we introduce, for the inbound platform, we integrate in the component a way to visualize all the incoming requests. So you can log in the actual inbound platform that you have, the inbound monitor, and you can filter all the requests that you are receiving. Instead of go to Buzón Tributario, your users can use the same platform that they use for the inbound document and just filter the document and see what requests they have for today. Of course, we have SAP authorization roles involved in the process that allows some users to use it, others no. And once you receive all the information, you can select one or multiple documents at the same time and accept or reject those documents. So instead of go to the Buzón Tributario, upload the certificate, validate that information is correct, the UUID that they are producing in the Buzón Tributario is the correct one, you need to go to SAP, back to SAP and validate what UUID is that document that they are saying in order to see if you can void it or not. Now you have a complete set integrated with your actual console, and you can validate what document are trying to cancel that you received before. That is the inbound portion, right? But we also mentioned that the outbound portion is affected as well. So for the new processing cancellation in outbound, again, for those that are familiar with the platform, with the software platform, this is the monitor that you probably know. It's the same monitor. What we include is new actions there, native SAP controls that allows you to communicate with these new web services that the SAP produced in August 2018, in order to get information, the actual status, so it's easy action usability, SAP automation standard for a standard T code. So for the SD document, once the document is fully canceled, the status is updated, we can integrate with the standard T codes in SAP to void the document within the SAP as well. So of course, we update the document status. So once you receive the information, we have some codes in order to the platform understand the cancellation notice. That code allows to trigger the internal cancellation in SAP. We have different status produced by the SAT that is vigente, that is a valid document, still a valid document, that is no cancelable, it can be canceled. It can be canceled with acceptation, so with the acknowledgement, or it can be canceled without the acknowledgement. Let me make a pause here. Not all the documents can be need to be an acknowledgement. If you realize that the error is like 5 different exceptions to produce a cancellation without the approval. If you have a nominal document, if you have documents for the end consumer, business to consumer instead of business to business, there are 5 different exceptions that fall in this rule, and you can cancel the document without any approval, any acknowledgement. So that is what you see, the third status there, that is cancelable con aceptación, sin aceptación. So you can void the document without any acknowledgement from the receptor. So you have also the status to be canceled with the acknowledgement. You need to wait for the acknowledgement, and if you need to wait for the acknowledgement, you have 72 hours to wait it. So you can still see the in process, so it's still waiting for the approval. Or if after 72 hours you can see that the request was canceled because the receptor says you cannot cancel the document. Or also you can see the status that the plazo vencido, or the time expires, so the document now is a canceled document in the database and nobody takes an action. And finally, you can be that it was accepted, the acknowledgement was accepted, or was the cancellation without acceptation that I already explained in the process. So all these new status that the SAT published along with the web services are integrated with the Sovos SAP consoles. So you can see in the process that everything is in one platform. Everything is in the common SAP console that you use daily to produce your documents or receive your documents. So the idea for Sovos in the framework is to have a simple, accurate, and integrated movement, right? We have a simple console. With one click into the actual monitor, you can validate information and you can submit cancellation requests. You have complete control in the same console for the document issued and voided ones, so in the inbound and outbound side. You have accurate information, so you can update the status for the document in real time. You can see what is happening with the document. It was accepted, it was rejected, is it still on process? Nobody takes an action now, you can cancel the document in SAP. Is integrated with their SAP process that you have in place. So let's say all the standard SAP transactions are included in the process. BF11 is one of the cases. If you submit the cancellation request, the cancellation is accepted, the time frame expires, whatever happened with the document, but the result is the document is canceled. We integrate that with the BF11 transaction. Now the document is canceled not only in the SAT page, also will be canceled in the SAP the movement that you have in your accounting ERP. So this is integrated with your consoles. So it's as you see, it's not a simple process. Again, the government is saying that no, when you create a document, the receptor need to be part of the process. In this case, you need to produce an acknowledgement. Again, it's not a new process. It was in the past for 3.2, it was not regulated. You can produce credit note to void the documents. You can use the cancellation, CFDI cancellation if you want to, or you can produce the credit note or debit note, wherever the documents are the case for void the documents without any approval, without any participation for the receptor. So that happens in the past. The government is evolving again. This is new for the government perspective. He's looking and taking in consideration that they have gaps that need to be filled. They are putting in place new processes that probably are not simple and not easy for all the taxpayers. So we are talking here about the SAP. What happened with those that doesn't have SAP, that have other ERP, that use the text integration, upload documents in different portals. So it's a pain for everybody, right? It's not always an easy way to do it. It's not an easy path to take, but the government doesn't care that it's an easy path. It's something that they need to control, and they want to regulate in order to have more control, more accurate data, and also reduce the time for the audits, have more control of the data to send you information back and say, okay, you have a tax evasion, you have problems with your audits. Things like that, now the government can participate faster and can introduce and go in your business and audit you more faster than ever. So let me give you an example. In Chile, they introduced a concept that's called the libros, books, accounting books that you submit every month. You submit the ventas and purchases and sales books to the government in order to let them know what you sell and what you are buying. After 4 years, the government says, you know what? I have your inbound documents, I have your outbound documents, so I no longer need the books. Instead of you send me the books, I will send you an invoice with the deduction or the tax that you owe me. Every month they send you an invoice, and if you disagree with the invoice, yeah, fine, I can audit you and you can send me all the information, but I already know the information. So the government is using the technology that was in place but doesn't care before, and now are putting in place more rules, more processes, more things to change and evolve faster. So this is all that we have for the presentation. Let me know again, use the chat or the question box in your right in order to send us your questions, and we will be the best to answer you everything that we can see. Okay, let me give you 30 seconds to log in the question box and see or review your question. Okay. Okay, we start receiving some of the questions. Gustavo will manage the question session, and I will be answering as best as I can, of course.
So yeah, we have a question here. So essentially saying, if I understand correctly, the invoice has less than 72 hours. Customer approval is not required. So essentially, if less than 72 hours, is the invoice required to be acknowledged?
Correct. It's not required to be acknowledged. It's one of the exceptions to cancel the document, but there are also some rules that you need to follow in order to cancel the document. It could be less than 72 hours, but it can have some related documents that you cannot cancel, right? So it could be a complemento de pago that is not a document that you can cancel. So there's some other rules that you need to take in place in order to cancel before proceed with the cancel or to be compliant with the cancellation request. Okay, I have another one here. This is if we have the releases for the actual CCFDI platform, the Sovos platform, and the inbound component as well. Yes, we have these modules available. Please contact your commercial representative in order to have the cost and the deploy for this new package, SAP package. It's available now with the solution, so you can request those in our commercial team. There is another question here. Is the notification of cancellation also required for CFDI intereses, CFDI payment abroad, CFDI capital derivatives? There are a few exceptions for documents like nomina, payroll, and other complementos that do not require cancellation, a document to cancel the document, or an approval, says that in Wales. You can cancel without any approval. Just go to the SAT webpage. They have a manual when they actually publish the documents that you can cancel without any acceptation, so any acknowledgement. So somebody is asking if they can still use credit notes to cancel a document. In the SAT have a PowerPoint in the webpage saying that the credit notes do not replace a cancellation request. So you cannot use actually the credit notes to submit cancellation. You need to issue a CFDI cancellation request, get the approval in order to cancel the document. So there is another question here that say, what is the difference between cancellation, the cancellation process, and the substitution? That is a good question, actually. Cancellation process is something that you issue the document, select the UUID, now submit the cancellation request. Let's say they approve the cancellation request, the UUID is canceled. The substitution, that is something for the Pagos Complemento and other documents as well. There is a specific field in the schema that you can produce and saying, I will substitute this document, that is the code 04, if I don't mistake, 04, because wherever there, you can put a description there, right? So you can replace a previous document for this new document for wherever the reason is. The big difference here is that you need to create transactions, a new transaction, you need to publish a new document, you need to submit a new UUID, relate the UUID from the previous document, have a relation there, a relationship between the previous UUID, but it's still not a cancellation, it's a substitution. So both documents are still alive, let's say in that way, both UUID are valid, but the first one is considered that is not longer valid, or it was replaced by the second one. That one is the actual that have the correct information.
So Andres, yeah, we have a good question here, and one of them is, what is the reason or logic behind the Mexican tax administration to mandate this new feature, this new requirement process for companies?
Yes, there is a good reason for the government to have in place this process, right? So they realized that some of the documents was canceled without any intervention from anybody, and some of those documents are actually paid by the receptor. So I submit the invoice, I receive the money, and I go to the web page and cancel the document. So I am saying to the government, I never received that money, the document was canceled, but I actually have the money, and that money is part of that money is the IVA, right? The VAT or wherever the tax that I need to pay. But the government say, okay, you never received, you cancel the invoice, so I can play with the money in that sense. So that is not a good practice, and the government realized that it needed and need to put something in place in order to correct that problem. And that is the idea that came here with the Buzón Tributario. Everything here in order to be the receptor, participate on the process, and also acknowledge that he knows that the issuer is trying to cancel a document that I already paid. So why are you cancel that document if I already give you the money and I need to deduct that document? So what happened here? So that is the main reason for this. There's another question, is customer cancellation approval only applies for invoice delivered to the Mexican customer? not to foreign customer, right? That is correct. It's only applied for the local, let's say local documents. If you issue a document for exportation purposes, a company located in the U.S., they don't have the capability to log in the Buzón Fiscal and send you the approval or rejection back. So that basically means that it's only for the local Mexican taxpayers. So I guess we run out of time now. So let me just put the importance here for this new process in place, the acknowledgement process. I need to stress this for everybody. The acknowledgement process is very important for you via Buzón Tributario using the consoles, the SAP console that we offer, because you have only 72 hours to acknowledge the document. That is very important there. Also, with this change, of course, came new changes for the outbound platform, but here the very important things is that now you need to acknowledge the documents. You need to submit an approval within 72 hours or rejection, of course, within 72 hours in order to let the issuer know that you are accepting or rejecting the document. Otherwise, the document will be accepted. It will be considered canceled. Doesn't matter if you pay for it, wherever the internal process happens there, after 72 hours, the document is considered like canceled. Okay? So thank you very much again for your time, for giving me the opportunity to talk with you again. I will put in the screen the contact information that you can use in order to let us know any questions, any additional information that you request. You can go to our webpage. You can communicate info@sovos.com or use this phone number 866-890-3970 in order to send us questions or speak with some of the commercial representative of BDR that we have in place in order to resolve your doubts. This webinar was recorded, so we will publish the link as we always do in order to you have access to the audio and the presentation, and of course give you more overview about the processes here. Thank you very much again, and enjoy the rest of your day.